very interesting. At one time, I remember somebody got very excited about a doorknob, which left me cold because I don't know what a doorknob may mean, But for him, it was a symbol of something that happened, entering a room where something very dramatic happened to him in a past life. So that doorknob was very important, and I didn't understand. After I asked some questions, I realized why.
And Bunny, do you have that?
I've had many times when I've seen and been in the scenario that they're describing. Years ago, I had a woman who was an artist who called me. She'd been in an accident and she couldn't get back in her car. So I just had this picture of it. And we got together and I asked her to describe the scene for me, the accident scene. I did hypnotize her, and I went with her into this past life where she was with her cat. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. So, I mean, this was one of many, but I said, "Do you have a cat?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Do you love your cat?" Words just start coming out of my mouth, and I didn't know why. So we got to the point where we got her in the car. I told her to stroke the front of the car, the seat, like her cat, and all of a sudden she could see this picture in her past life. And we're doing this in our heads, mind you. It's not a real scenario. And all of a sudden she takes me into this scenario with her cat when she was in Egypt. And the whole picture came together. I won't go into it because it was quite lengthy. But all of a sudden she's able to drive her car. She's able to perform like anybody else and get on with her life. It's just amazing, the funny little twerks that we put into our mind, like a doorknob, like a corner, like a cat, like a church. I had a man who had a phobia about churches. Took him back into another life and found that he had, a very humiliating experience in a church. Completely regressed it, and his daughter wanted her church wedding, wanted her father to give her away. He couldn't do it. But after he found out why, he jumped out of the chair and said, "I'm going to go give my daughter away." I mean, it's just amazing and quick.
Is it a question of going back through these events that the release takes place, or is there art to what you folks are doing? You get them to address that issue, or is it sometimes it's spontaneous?
I think that most of the times it's spontaneous, and we have to just reinforce it to say, well, now this, you understand, was in the past. There's no reason to worry now.
Gotcha. So you're just
So just let go of it and switch your energies into what is meaningful for you, where they probably belong, and into your mission in this life. What's for you to understand, to learn, to do in the master plan, and derive more joy, peace, and love as a result of that. And we finished that. It's finished. It's done. So be it. Okay. So it's sort of a reinforcement. That's what I do usually. Some other times it takes longer. And, you have to continue, because one session or two or three may not be enough. In order to perform a past life regression that's very useful to an individual, you have to have sufficient time usually. Yes. And that entails, according to me, and I saw the other day, Oprah Winfrey show with my friend Brian Weiss, that it takes him and it takes me too about 5 to 10 sessions to be able to accomplish that. But it varies. Sometimes you do it.
And normally during that time period, are there 2 or 3 specific things that, let's say, are holding people back from their highest or most universal self that you're working on doing, or just in general, this is just an environment where the self just rebalances itself out? Or do you feel it's specifically going after specific things?
Yeah, there are some blocks, emotional blocks that stem from a past life, and you have to remove them, whether they have to do with a fear, as we heard from Bonnie, or it may have to do with a loss of a person that was very dear, or loss of self-esteem for some reason. So you have to find out specifically what it's all about and guide the person. So I guess what we did today, it's something that pertains exactly what I just said, is finding out if there's something there. And many times, which is very interesting, maybe other hypnotherapists are experienced with that, Bonnie too, you want to find blocks in a past life, and you don't find blocks because you run into a person usually that's more spiritually evolved, and you're looking for blocks to get rid of in a past life. There are no blocks. The person's giving you a beautiful life before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
That's what you
experienced
did.
my life as being a very beautiful life, and
Yeah.
that even when I died at the end, when I got the joust through the heart,
Not your top moment in your lifetime.
Well, everybody has to die somehow. Let's face it. But it also, I just had a little aha moment while I was sitting here about this concern about my heart in this lifetime.
The connection.
There is a connection that just actually, and one of the things that Dr. Finkelstein said to me is that things will process for a while, and that realizations will come to me for a while after I had this experience, and I just had one of those.
Expansion of yourself. You've brought more of your subconscious, unconscious, big you, unconscious, something into your conscious mind, and therefore your operating system is altering now. So it's a wider, upgraded operating system.
Which is also a good reason, as Dr. Finkelstein
Yes.
said, to continue your sessions, because what's going to come up the first session may be leading
Just the
up
tip
to
of the iceberg,
right,
so to speak.
exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see very good results when people are ready and prepared to meditate on their own and the information they got during the session. And it's surprising and amazing how much more they get these pieces of puzzle, so to speak, that fall into place, tenfolds or more, that makes sense to them and helps clarify what they didn't get enough in the first session. So that's why I advise people to do that, but it's not in exchange of having more sessions with the therapist, usually.
Now, you had one client that you were with for 7 years, this Canadian singer.
Sherry Lee Laird.
Thank you. I didn't remember the name exactly, but why don't you talk a little bit about that? Maybe pick up the book for the studio cameras here. It's
Yeah, if you can hold the book up, then we can get a good shot of it.
It's Marilyn Monroe Returns, The Healing of a Soul.